Hang on, no. Did I just hear you say that you've noticed that all of the women in your paintings have no mouths? That's rather peculiar.
I know it's peculiar, and that's a peculiar word to use. It's not all of them, but if you look at this series, well, not that you're looking at them, well, I'm looking at you. If you look at that series, yes, they've got no mouths. I don't know why they've got no mouths, but they don't have any mouths.
Perhaps you were having a bit of a writer's block as poetry at that stage.
Well, I was feeling pretty hopeless. It was when I had the broken ankle. I'm sitting there. I'm pretty speechless about the whole thing. I was pretty depressed, I got to tell you. So when I've done the artwork, I guess I've covered all their mouths.
Okay, we'll cop that.
You cop that. So if you put your camera onto those pictures, I'll tell you a bit about them if you like.
Well, we might or we might not.
Mostly acrylic on canvas. And I've dabbled in a lot of things. Last year I got into collage and mixed media.
Yep.
So if you look at some of my works
there,
and that's Stravinsky into Infinity, that piece.
Yes,
That was when I had a really crooked shoulder, couldn't use my arm, frozen shoulder, and I started tearing a lot of my foundation works
fun.
pasting them all together. Yeah. And then later on when I got my arm back again, I was able to finish them. This is Stravinsky into Infinity, and this is one of the collages I did many years ago, I think, when I was part of a group called Q Arts. And this is the piece that so I do foundation pieces. So each page I do a foundation of paint and different sort of design, and then I'll normally do layers upon it to make it an artwork. Well, because I couldn't do that, I just tore up all my foundation pieces and put them all together into a landscape. I did a lot of them, and it was great fun to do. So when my arm came back, I was then able to just do all the detailed work that went on top of it. And so I call them Stravinsky into Infinity because I was posh.
Fabulous idea. Stay there. I'm actually not on the outside.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fabulous idea, just getting super posh on it, but it does make a pretty good landscape, and it's a bit like our Gippsland scene, isn't it?
Well, I'm really influenced by that. Yeah.
Get your hands off that.
I want to hold the microphone. I want to hold your microphone. I'd rather not hold it. I'll let you do that. The job. Yeah, I'm really influenced by that because we live in the bush, and mostly my work it tends to be landscape, birds, all kinds of stuff like that. So that's about the answer to that question. But and then I went back again into collage when I broke my ankle last year.
Oh gosh.
And so I was sitting there doing the collage. I had all these magazines. What was I going to do with them?
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to chuck them.
No.
And so I thought, well, I'll play with them. And I just played with them. So then I got prints made of them so that they'd go back to almost the magazine idea, the flatness of the magazine.
Yes, yeah.
And then I've worked on a lot of those. So it becomes a triple layer
layer upon
of
layer
work.
Yep.
And then I got a lot of cards made out of some of those works. So it's been a really interesting excursion, I reckon, doing those.
Well, good morning there, Yvette Stubbs, isn't it?
It is Yvette Stubbs, and good morning to you.
Marvellous. Now, this is a rather special sort of a day for you because you're on your... Whoops, don't stand on the painting, Christine.
Be cautious of that.
Let's just, come in, just beautiful. Now, you're featuring in the Baw Shire as a work of art, really, aren't you?
Well, you could call me a work of art, but I think I'm one of the 20 artists who has opened their studio for a weekend for people to come and check out what we're doing.
How fantastic.
Yeah.
And, really, I sort of got to my punchline already without a preamble because I had intended to lead up to calling you a work of art, but, because, you are into multimedia and you really are your sort of number one piece of art.
Look, I've never been called a number one piece of art, and being from a very big family, I'm just one of many pieces of art. But I appreciate that you would call me a piece of art. A piece of something I've been called. A piece of work. Piece of artwork. That's what I am.
I'm sure you've been called a piece of work before. Well, are you an artist? Are you a poet? You're many things, aren't you? Because you are a poet, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. And that many years ago, I decided I would be all of those things. So I've always been...
Which ones?
I've always been a poet and a performer and a visual artist. I've been a puppeteer, I've made puppets, I've done all that stuff. Anything to do with creativity, I can do it. It's sort of exciting for me. And in the old days, I used to hang out with artists and they didn't know I was a poet, and I used to hang out with poets and they didn't know I was an artist, and there was never that sort of mix. And now it's starting to become more known. People know that I do it, because sometimes if you can't work out what you are, people value what you are less. It's strange but it's true.
Okay.
So
is that like undercharging, putting a low price on something you should get a lot more for?
Well, it could be that. It's more that idea that if you're very focused on the one art form and the one style, then you're a very serious artist. But if you're going to spread your allegiance across multiple art forms, therefore you can't be as serious about each piece, each bit of art, which I actually am.
Okay, well, I get that, and I like your little reference before you've upstaged me again, because this was going to be another one of my lines. You're basically been a bit of a wolf in sheep's clothing, and I've actually come as a wolf in sheep's clothing today.
Oh, have you?
Oh,
no.
I have my
you
sheep
have your t-shirt on.
Pants on, and I have my wolf top.
You do.
So, unlike the mother of the bride, I don't wish to upstage you. But...
Well, you have. I don't think I can compete with that. And you've even got this thing.
Yeah, it's fluffy too.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, this is rather marvellous. And have you been speaking poems? Have you been performing poems to the audience that has been tramping to your doorway yesterday?
On the odd occasion. So there are a couple of pieces which I can show you a bit later. There was a time when I couldn't do any art for a year. I was very injured and very in pain, and I emotionally couldn't write, and I couldn't do any art. So there's a piece that I wrote after a year of not being able to write, and a piece that I painted after a year of not being able to paint, which I used to do all that stuff every day. So that was a whole year, was a big thing for me.
I reckon Mr. Jeff Dole would have had a bit of a time of it when you were out of action.
Well, if I'm not out of action doing art, it doesn't mean I'm out of action doing everything else.
Anyway, I had to mention him because number one, he's got a marvellous name. You're so lucky to have inherited a marvellous surname.
Yeah, Dolly.
Yeah, Dole. And he's a pretty good bloke, isn't he,
Look, he can be. He has his moments, as all blokes.
We better get off that subject. He's just making us a cup of tea, and he's going to clean up afterwards
We
too, I
should be
bet.
nice about him and not prevaricate there.
No. Now,
What does that word
were
mean,
you,
actually?
whatever,
I don't know.
were you born with a silver spoon in your mouth? No,
Oh,
you
yeah,
weren't.
sure was.
No, wrong. I mucked up my punchline, my other punchline.
Okay, what is
I
it?
was going to ask you, were you born with a silver tongue, but you certainly weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
No,
I've got
no.
that one right now, this time.
No, I was trailer trash, and that's what they say in America. No, but we were pretty poor, but we weren't poor of culture. So we were brought up to love art and music and all the good stuff, but we didn't have much money because Dad was an artist. Never got any other income except his. So that we were either wealthy or really poor. That was about it.
Okay, but most rich in the heart.
Rich in the heart. We were so rich in the heart, and and there were a lot of us. I didn't know we were poor actually financially, but I just had a great childhood. I loved it.
So did I.
Yeah, we played, didn't we?
Yeah.
We didn't play this thing. We didn't know that.
No.
We played outside.
We did. And now here you are living in the middle of nowhere, and do you think that contributes to your art? It gives you certainly peace and quiet, but you do need an audience as well, don't you? But you do make up for it.
I do. Look, I reckon a lot of people who live in the city who've got entertainment switched on, they can go at any time of the day and night and they can just go out, and I reckon that would stop me from being as creative, because we do live in the bush. And if you want entertainment, you better go and find it somewhere else. That, to me, I guess it does make a difference. And you get thrown into it.
Well, that's good because, being a bit of a show-off myself, I sympathise with you there because, if you're full-time show-off, you get very tiring.
Well, it's exhausting. People think you're a show-off when you're home, but you're not, are you? You're quiet, you're reserved, you do your art because you can't do that any other way. And you can't be a show-off for the rest, or you just go out there, you find your audience, and immediately you become animated and exciting.
I know, and this is a very animated and most exciting exhibition, Yvette Stubbs.
Thank you very much.
And I'm very impressed with it, and this is a perfect space for it too.
It's a beauty, isn't it? It's got the coffin ceilings.
Yep. Now, do you have a favourite piece in here, or a couple of favourite pieces?
Yeah, I do.
Good. Let's have a look at them.
Let's do that.
Now, I like this nice long piece here.
Yeah, that's the lady on the door. It's called the lady on the door. She used to be a cupboard door, and it was a rotten sliding cupboard that I didn't like. So I pulled all the doors off and I painted on them. Well, I didn't have anything to paint on anyway, so I painted on them. And I've got 3 of those dotted around here.
Well, I think that's marvellous. It's most colourful. This one here is quite a fond favourite of mine.
Why? What do you like about it, Christine?
Well, I like the swimming woman, I like the fish mermaid thing, and I like the colours, I like the flowing nature of it. That's what I like about it. It's very peaceful and powerful to me.
She was actually part of an exhibition at ARC, and the theme was still. My group, Eclectic Creators Unite, we all wrote works, framed them and put them in an exhibition, and this was part of that. And so she's called Still Halley's Comet. And I was also writing a lot of work about brides, and in that exhibition we also did a performance called Still Framed, and so it was about brides, therefore the bridal veil.
I know, I love it. It's beautiful. And I like that big one over there. I like your sort of bird images, and I can't see any others of them here too much today, but you have a lot of these lovely bird images, creatures. I like them.
Yeah, I do a lot of birds, and my dad did birds in a lot of his paintings too, and I really think I'm influenced. I have to control myself to not put birds in my work. This one is at the moment being worked on, so I haven't completed the work, and I've been asking people who come to see this exhibition, what do you reckon about what I should do with it? And I've had 3 different really good ideas. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to resolving this work.
Okay, well, that's the forest, could be the forest floor and the dark forest above, I don't know, but I think it looks pretty good to me. I like this one here. It's the sea, isn't it? The ocean and the beach, by the look of it to me, but it could be something altogether different.
But you're right, it is. It's called the deck chair, and that's also another, when I was working last year on collage, and that's collage. It's gluing stuff on and a lot of texture. And so it's got 3 deck chairs, and I was thinking whether they were fishing or not, should I put fishing lines, but I just left it quite abstract. For anyone who wants to make it out to be anything else, it's up to them. But you're right, it is the beach and the water and the sky.
Well, I like it. It's very peaceful to live with. It leaves a lot to the imagination. Your house is also your work of art, isn't it? I mean, you paint on chairs, you have lovely objects. The objects in your house are artistic and good to look at.
Well, that's what people feel, I think, and a lot of people say that my place is pretty cosy, and I just make it comfortable for me. I try not to paint on too many things, because if you stop still for too long, I might paint on you. But I do try to control myself. Keep it on the canvas is what I say. Keep it on the canvas. I've just recently painted a couple of chairs just to see what that was like, and that was fun to do. But other than that, oh, yeah, well, all right, I did paint on the bar surrounds. Yes, I did. I'm just not even thinking about the things I painted on. I probably painted on quite a lot of things. But I try to control myself and not do that. Just keep it on the canvas is what I say.